Hi Martin, thanks for joining us. We're obviously here today speaking to each other following the departure of Carl Fletcher as head coach this afternoon. The first and obvious question is, why has that decision been made?
Yeah, I mean, it's first things first. I want to say is that I'm disappointed that we've had to make that decision. You know, the integrity of Carl and Carl as a person was spot on. It just didn't fit into what we had as a coaching unit and as the ethos of the football club. You know, sometimes you can run with it and stick with it and then make a decision later on. But I feel sometimes when you make these types of decisions and you make them quickly, you get less pain, and I think that's the best way I could describe it.
And obviously there will be people talking about the length of time that he was in charge. What was it that made you feel it was so important to step in now?
Yes, I just felt that, as I say, for me, it was a decision that needed to make, that we felt we had to make quickly. You know, it was in terms of, you know, I keep saying about the fit and what we are about as a club, and the fit just didn't feel right. You know, it sounds stupid. Sometimes you go out and buy a pair of shoes, and that they don't feel quite right. And for me, this didn't feel right. It never had the feel that I thought could take us forward. The board have been very, fully backing of the situation as well. And sometimes in life you have to make difficult decisions. The easiest thing for me to do and the board to do was to stick with it and see if things changed. We felt that wasn't going to be the case, so that's why we acted.
And as a recruitment process, is this now a valuable experience moving forward?
Yeah, I think that, you know, for me, I think you always learn by doing things wrong, then looking at why you did it wrong, and how you got to that wrong, got to the wrong decision. We would always, I think you've got to look in a mirror at yourself, which I do as director of football. When the plaudits were being handed out at the end of last season, when we won the league, I was happy to take them. And when there's decisions that go wrong on the football side of things, I'm also happy to take that's a big part of what I do. So, you know, I take full responsibility in terms of my part in it. It was a decision that we made through a process. Maybe we've got to look at the process that we went through to get to Carl. I think you've got to. You can't just say, oh, you know, it was just one of them things. I think you'll always look. We thought that we covered every base, but there's obviously something that didn't quite work on this occasion. We've done it that way previously, and it's worked, you know. But on this occasion, it didn't. But I think the big thing is that you learn lessons from decisions made, and if the decision goes wrong, you accept the criticism that comes with that wrong decision. And you know, maybe me, certainly me as a person, I will always do that. But I'm also a person that looks forward. You know, what's gone has happened. There's regret. There's always regret when a decision like this has to be taken. But you must look forward. You know, for now, it's about what are the players going to be doing at the training ground on Friday, with Ross Embleton back in charge, with Danny Webb as assistant, and with Joby there, and how are they going to take that into Saturday's game. So football is strange, and I've been around a lot of footballing decisions. You know, I've walked out of jobs myself when I didn't think the job I was in was the right thing to do, i.e. Cambridge. And so when something like this happened, of course we look at what we could do better. You know, there's been a lot of good since Nigel and Kent and myself walked into the building, but this is a bit of a downer. You know, it hasn't worked. I accept that bit of downer, but I won't dwell on it. Football, you know, tomorrow is a different day. We've got training at the training ground. We've got a game Saturday, and that's what we start to look forward to now.
And what's next for the club? You know, in particular in regards to Ross taking over for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, Ross is going to come in and do a very, very solid job. There's no doubt about it. He was doing that before Carl came into the building, so it goes back onto Ross. And I mean, I think the word interim, and I've said it last time, and I say it again, gives us, you know, it can be as long as short as you want. I mean, the be all and end all is I want the buzz, I want the feel good factor back into the football club, and Ross's job starting tomorrow is to get that feeling back in there. And when I go over the training ground tomorrow, I want it within the building. The players can't take, you know, it ain't always just, the players have got to take part of the blame. If I'm, you know, I've spoken to players before, and I think better players accept when they're not done so well. So there'll be players that look at it and think, I could have done better. Because results come into it, you know, there's obviously an element of results, but the bigger thing was that the fact the feeling at the training ground in and around the place didn't give me the feeling of a Leighton Orient training ground. So it's over to Ross to put that back into the place.
And just finally, obviously we played Scunthorpe at the weekend, a sold out crowd, a big atmosphere, and obviously now an important game. Everyone must be looking forward to getting into that and kind of progressing and moving forward as a football club.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, the season so far it's had its ups and downs. We've, you know, at this place we've gone through, you know, you've gone through sort of buying or coming into the club when there was not much of a club left, then building the club to be, you know, a success, losing the main man in that instance, and we have dealt with it. You know, we've dealt with Justin passing, and it's been difficult. There's always difficult times in football, but there's also good times in football. You have to take. I try not to get too high or too low, and I think that's important as a director of football and someone that works at a football club. The eyes, you don't have to peel me off the ceiling, and when there's lows, you don't have to peel me off the floor. I try to keep a middle road, and that may be to do with my own keeping myself well as well, keeping in the middle of the road. And I just want a few little ups and maybe a few ups together that would propel us into a season where we come into it out of National League to have a season that was, you know, if we'd have had a middle of the road season, you know, mid-table, we would have all said yeah, and then we kick on from here. You know, you've had blips, you know, a big blip obviously with Justin passing, and that then put a different slant on it, and this is another blip that we have to deal with. But the idea is not to let the blip last too long, and I think Saturday will be a good occasion, as you said, with all the crowd. The crowd have stayed solid and been fully behind us, and what I'd ask every single support on Saturday is to get behind Ross and the boys and cheer us onto a victory here at Brisbane Road.